Well, it is easy for someone to imagine Hollywood when they think of a video production company, but Highway Media has been operating as a full-service production studio right here in Metro Detroit for the past 25 years. Welcome to Celebrate Michigan, the show produced by students on the campus of Madonna University. I'm Chris Benson, and I'm joined today by the president of Highway Media, Mark Salloum. Thank you for joining us, Mark.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Excellent. So how did you get your start in video?
Well, I graduated in the early days from Eastern Michigan University, had a degree in telecommunications and film production. I also had a second major in marketing with a concentration in advertising. So when I got out of college, I thought, well, I'm just going to go and make some commercials until I have the opportunity to move west and make movies. But that was a recession back in the early 90s, so I found myself as a freelancer. And within a couple years of doing that, I was starting to work with a wedding company and found myself behind the camera filming a lot of weddings for about 5 years.
Okay. Yeah. I imagine that filming weddings, there's a lot of emotions that are going on there, and you have to capture the right angle, and probably was a good way to start when I think about the demanding audiences. Is that what you found as your experience?
Sure. And I always tell people that of all the things that I've been involved in, filming and producing, and I've done just about everything, I'd say two of the toughest things are weddings and sports, because they're live and you don't have a second chance. So you've got to get it right the first time.
Oh gosh, and I bet that was a lot of pressure.
Yes.
But I bet you learned a lot too.
Yeah, for sure. And
Wonderful.
you know, I think I've always felt like dealing with pressure and stress has been, you know, one of my things that I've been able to take care of. But nonetheless, yeah. So I've been able to overcome anything that comes about when it comes to a pressured situation.
So it started out with an interest in it, got some training in it, and dabbled a bit. And then how did it go from there to having your own company?
Sure. Well, you know, by 1997, the gentleman that I was working for about 5 years decided to move, and my wife and I at that time were starting to look at some franchises. I always had an entrepreneurial spirit. So at that time, my friend said, hey, Mark, I'm moving, and if you'd like to buy the company, you can. So I decided, you know what, God has put that in my lap. I'm going to take advantage of it. So I did that, and for those first 10 years of producing weddings, it became really a joyous thing for me, and a great learning curve too, because there were so many other things I knew I had in store.
So, you know, Michigan is at that time, 25 years ago, and even beyond that, we weren't the Hollywood metropolis. Like I heard you say, you know, thinking about going west and maybe going there. What made you stay here in Michigan and do this in Michigan?
Yeah, that's a great question. I was watching a movie, City Slickers.
Oh, I know it well. Yeah.
So the character that Jack Palance played with Billy Crystal, Crystal had said to him, hey, how do you know when, you know, things are right? And Jack Palance says, there's one thing. And Billy Crystal says, well, what's that? And he says, that's something you have to figure out for yourself. So I realized at that point that it was family that meant more to me than anything else. So even though I had gone to California a couple of times and had some opportunities actually to kind of get my foot in the door, I realized that family was a little more important to me, and I was hoping to try to make a go of it on my own here in Michigan.
And you were able to take that passion and bring it to the Mitten State, and we love that, especially on Celebrate Michigan. We love to highlight that.
Yeah.
Well, I understand you brought a demo reel to just share a little bit of your work with us. So we're going to take a look at that right now.
Great.
So talk to us a bit about what we're seeing here.
Well, we're seeing a collage of probably, I'd say, 30, 40, maybe 50 videos that we've filmed over the course of the last 5, 6 years or so. And we update this every so often. You know, we wanted to make sure that there was a variety of, you know, animations, live actions, interviews, the manufacturing and industrial sector that we're in.
Wow. Yeah. I love the sharp, clean images you had there, and just great perspectives. There was so much energy in that clip. What has the response been as clients and people have seen that? You know,
and I actually can't say that I've spoken to people after watching that, because it's typically just kind of sitting there, and we've also put it on YouTube. So we do a lot of marketing as well. So what we've done is put that out on YouTube, and I advertise with that. So I don't really get a lot of feedback on that. My feedback is more on the actual projects that we deliver to our clients.
Well, I'll tell you my thoughts, being a Michigander native, seeing all those different pieces of Michigan. I loved seeing it, and I love the Detroit area.
Yeah.
And I love the perspective of it.
Thank you.
So 25 years, you're now with Highway Media. Tell us a little bit about, you're in Canton,
Yes.
okay? And have you been there the whole time? Is that where you started, and that's where the business is run?
Well, I was originally in Livonia, lived there for about 5 years, and then moved to Plymouth. So I actually live in Plymouth, and I worked out of my house for about the first 4 or 5 years owning the business. And then I rented a location in downtown Plymouth, and then realized that I wanted to have ownership of my building instead of giving it to somebody else. So I bought a building, did a great big build out, and we've been there now for 16 years.
Oh, wow. Very embedded in the community and loving what you do.
Yes.
And what are some of the different services that you provide? I see a couple different things in there for clients, but what are some of the things that you do for them?
Well, one of the main things that we're focused on is creating branding videos. So it's all about really trying to help our clients formulate a strategy within their own, let's say, marketing strategies within the organization, and understand what we can do to not only visually but message-wise bring that to their prospective audience. So that's probably the main thing that we've been working with is clients that are looking to grow in different ways, whether they're a small little bakery or a large global client. And we have all kinds of companies in that and the range of that, from small and local all the way to global companies. That's
what I was going to ask. Is it just Michigan-based, or it sounds like you've got clients all over the globe and here and far as well?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So we, some of our clients have, some kind of a headquarter here, whether it's North America or a Michigan base, and we've been to places like Singapore, Germany, Mexico, and of course all over the United States for some of our clients.
Wow. Starting locally and taking your talents all over. I love hearing that, especially when it's a Michigan business.
Right.
Well, it's already time for us to take a quick break, and we will continue taking a look at Highway Media today in just a moment, along with learning a thing or two about video marketing. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back with Mark.
Sounds like you could use some Van Gogurt. It's fortified with arts-rich nutrients to improve your math and reading skills. Catch!
Van Gogurt, thanks. So what's the deal with your ear?
Always with the ear, huh?
Feed your kids the arts. For 10 simple ways to learn how, visit AmericansForTheArts.org.
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
Fast-paced family life in need of a slowdown?
Hello, I'm Dr. Spruce. Did you know all those green shapes on maps are parks and forests? It's true. Visit discovertheforest.org and plan to visit a park or forest near you, instead of just wondering what it would have been like.
While the word forest might make you think of distant lands from far, far away, please note parks and forests are closer than you think, which means things like beautiful scenery, fresh air, and family time are also closer than you think.
So, are you going out tonight?
I can't. My parents say I have to be home right after work.
That's so gay.
Totally gay.
Ugh, that is so Emma and Julia.
Why are you saying that's so Emma and Julia?
Well, you know, when something is dumb or stupid, you say that's so Emma and Julia.
Who says that?
Everyone.
Imagine if who you are were used as an insult. When you say that's so gay, do you realize what you say? Knock it off.
Welcome back to Celebrate Michigan. I'm Chris Benson. Again, I'm here with Mark Salloum, president of Highway Media, an award-winning production company that has been operating in Metro Detroit for the past 25 years. Mark, we talked in the last segment about starting humble beginnings in the wedding industry and maybe some of the influence that had on your work. Talk a little bit more about that beginning.
Sure. And I think it's funny because a lot of people look down maybe on the people that are involved in wedding production, but it's actually quite an art form, without a doubt. And actually, I would say if weddings were on Wednesdays every week, I'd probably be doing more of them. But, weekends were taken up for many years. I've been involved in probably close to 700-800 weddings in my life.
Oh my gosh.
Right, so quite a few, and we've done a lot of local and celebrities, Glenda Lewis from Channel 7 and the Illich family and Tayshaun Prince from the Pistons and some other folks. But what I learned really in the wedding industry was how to apply filmmaking techniques and storytelling into the wedding industry. And we were one of the first ones to really develop sort of this short form, non-chronological look at the wedding day, which is very prominent today. But back in 2008 and 2009, that's when we were experimenting and beginning that. And for the next 4 or 5 years as we were producing weddings, that's the type of content we were putting out. But we were also in a transition to, at that time, going into the corporate and commercial world.
And I understand, as we mentioned in the intro, award-winning. Talk a little bit about some of the awards. I looked at your website, very impressive, but
thank you.
Tell us about that.
Well, whenever we produce something that we feel is worthy of a potential award, we often will apply or nominate it into the tellies more than others, but we have won awards with several different, award organizations, but, often we will do that when we find something is worthy. A good example is we did a production for the state of Michigan on forestry. There was a public relations thing that they wanted to put out, and we traveled all over Michigan for about a month and produced something that was award-winning. Yeah.
I love the aspects you're bringing up here, this idea of storytelling through video. And, over the 25 years that you've been involved, I'm sure you've seen a lot of changes in your industry. And what's been some of the biggest drivers or the biggest changes that you've seen in your time?
Beyond the fact that we went from tape to digital tape to, cards and everything being digital. I've had to reinvest also in cameras a number of times and in computers. I'd say the biggest change is just how people are actually viewing content. The delivery of being online now versus where we were even just 10 years ago has changed dramatically. And also the length of time that people are willing to invest in watching a video. We've found that, maybe as recently as 5 years ago, people were willing to spend 20 to 30 seconds before they would, plug away from a video. But now it's 8 seconds or less.
Wow.
And we really believe that you have about 2 seconds to capture their attention if it's an ad. So we are really working hard to bring, visually stunning imagery to the commercial world.
And I bet there's a real art to that and a science, I imagine, because you're talking about this idea of capturing people's attention and thinking of the broad variety of clients that you have. How do you do that? I mean, how do you really understand how to get at who that audience is? What goes into that decision?
Well, one of the things that might separate us from others, and I can't speak on behalf of other companies that do what we do, but I consider myself and what we do as much of marketers as we are producers, okay? Which means that we work very closely with our clients from moment one to do a very deep dive understanding of their business, where they've been, where they're at, where they're going, and try to put a comprehensive campaign together that's not just, again, visually stunning, but also provides an effective campaign. And I've always said that video should do 3 things. It should inspire, it should inform, and it should initiate the audience into some form of action.
And I imagine a lot goes into it. We see these, we just saw that demo clip that you showed that had a lot of different images, and you're telling the story of what's possible. How long does it take to do? I'm looking at a 30-second clip and I think, oh, I could do that. How long does that take on average?
It partially depends on how many shoot locations we need to be involved. But so we do one of 2 things. We either work backwards from a budget. If we know a client has certain needs and a budget, then we might say, here's what we can do in that realm. Or we might say, okay, here's what we propose we can do based on what you're looking for. These are our recommendations. But I would say that, let's say, for example, a 30-second piece we can shoot in, let's say, a half day or a full day of shooting. Typically, I'd say a 30-second piece can often be done in a half-day shoot.
Okay.
But then the editing time, I would say, between upload and logging and things that people aren't even thinking about, music selection and mixing and all kinds of other things, color grading, revisions. An average video, I would say, is going to be 15 to 20 hours of editing time.
Wow.
Plus some additional, minor things that are pre-production based and post-production based as well.
Yeah, your video looks much more polished than what I can do with my iPhone. And when you talk about technology, how do you feel about the way technology has changed? Again, I remember having the giant VCR, that I would have, and then that's just the video, and now digital. How do you feel about all these changes that you've seen over the years?
Well, I think it's great, honestly. I love the technology. I don't like to feel like I'm being forced into the next realm of technology. So, for example, 6K and 8K are, starting to be
I thought
introduced.
It was 4K.
Well, 4K is all we're using. But they're pushing now, the manufacturers are starting to say, hey, we've got 6K available.
There's more.
8K, yeah, there's more. And I know NAB is coming up soon, which I may go to in Las Vegas. But, when you go there, you start to salivate and say, wow, should I start investing in that or not? But I think with where we're at right now, 4K is more than ample for 90% of our, let me say 99% of our clients. Nobody has asked us for anything beyond 4K at this point.
Well, now that they're going to see this, they're going to go, wait, I didn't know there was more, just like me.
Maybe. But that'll cost more, for
I
sure.
bet, I
Yeah.
bet. Well, we are going to take another quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk more with Mark, and he's got some excellent and very interesting documentaries that we're going to take a peek at, so stay tuned.
My name's Reggie. Just recently, my wife and I took in her sister's children. Now, we already had 4, so I went from becoming a family man to a man with a bigger family. Now, you can't eat love, so I don't know how I'm gonna feed them tonight. How was that, Rich?
I think I look more like Denzel.
That's cold, man.
Play a role in ending hunger. Visit feedingamerica.org/hunger and find your local food bank.
Nice. No.
Oops. Yeah, sure.
Let's go.
Moms everywhere are finding ways to keep kids active and healthy.
Works every time.
Get ideas, get involved, get going at letsmove.gov.
Yes, ready.
Oh, come on, Randy. Animal shelter, here I come. And no, I'm not crazy or emotionally damaged. That's a stereotype. I just belong to a total loser. I'm a good dog. So if you want a pet, adopt. And if you see Randy, tell him he dropped his wallet.
I present to you Algebra 2, Foreign Languages, and finally, Biology. Who among you will step up to their challenge?
Me.
Yeah, I'll do it. Me too. Sign me up.
Take on the tough classes now. You need them to prepare for college.
Welcome back to Celebrate Michigan. We're here with Mark Salloum, president of Metro Detroit-based production company Highway Media. He also is in the documentary film market and making documentary films, and I'm so excited because I'm very nerdy about that. So how did you get started with documentaries?
Well, you know, I've always wanted to produce my own feature films, but the first one that I produced was on the town of Plymouth. It's called Plymouth, Michigan, A Rich History. And that really started as a small little project. I was hired to produce a 20-minute celebration on the 150th anniversary of Plymouth, Michigan. And after conducting 6 interviews and starting to build a story, I recognized there were a lot of holes and there was a lot missing. So we decided to interview 2 more people and 2 more and 2 more. And eventually we realized that, okay, we've got a feature length on our hands. Yeah. And I realized that I wasn't worried so much about, the financial components. I was going to basically produce this because it was a passion of mine. So it ended up becoming a 93-minute film. And it included 19 individuals that talked to us a little bit about Plymouth. We began production in 2017 and wrapped in 2019 in post-production. Wow. And started airing it at the Penn Theater.
Oh, how neat. And I know we've got a few pictures that we're showing of the documentaries that you've worked on. I know we're going to be talking about the World War II documentaries in just a minute, but sounds like you really had a wonderful entry into this documentary area of film, and how I love that it's a local city too and telling their story.
Right, right. I've been living in Plymouth for 22 years now, so we love the town. I didn't know as much, not even close to what I learned during the production. Yeah. So I had an individual, Ellen Elliott, who's the executive director over at the Penn Theater, and she was sort of my right hand during production. She interviewed all the individuals. She knew what to ask and things of that nature. And we worked together on making sure that the stories were complete. So she sometimes recognized holes when they existed. But we were really proud of the fact that it had 11 sellout shows at the Penn Theater. Not one documentary has ever sold out at that theater until ours, and we had 11 sellouts. So.
And such a great theater too. Yeah. I mean, what an honor to be involved with them in their history as well.
For sure.
And I also understand that you've done work on a World War II piece. So talk to us about that.
I've always had a fascination with World War II and veterans in particular. I've run across them, here and there through the last, 15 years or so. And during the production of the Plymouth film, we interviewed a gentleman who had served in World War II. And I got to thinking, gosh, this might be something we should be looking at. And then it was May of 2019 at the Memorial Day parade in downtown Plymouth. They had a celebration for 6 World War II veterans who came up and spoke, and it really got to my heart. And I said, I've got to do this now because it's going to be too late. So we started work on that film in December of 2019.
Oh, and I understand you're going to share a little peek of it with us today. So we'll take a look at that right now.
Okay.
I have a pride in America that America has done so much for me.
And it's just an honor to say I'm American, and I'll do it all over again.
I came home.
Well, I didn't know you're going to get me in the feels, Mark. How did you feel when you were capturing these stories?
Well, we got choked up quite often, while filming these interviews. And we took pictures with every individual that we met with. We've unfortunately lost 3 of them.
Oh, I know.
We've interviewed 20. We have one last one coming up in March, and then we're going to enter post-production. But being around these men have been a blessing.
And so it sounds like it's a job. They always say that if you wake up in the morning and you don't feel like you're going to work, it's that you're doing the right thing. It sounds like this became more than just a 9 to 5 for you.
Oh yeah, I kind of look at my retirement as being a producer of documentary films. So maybe in the next 5 to 7 years, I start to phase out a little bit of the commercial side. Who knows? We'll see. But to inevitably continue working in features, particularly documentaries.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And again, we've got some pictures to take a look at. I know just some of the other things that you've been involved in, and maybe you can talk us through what we're looking at here.
Oh, yeah, I think this is a picture from behind the scenes of the Plymouth documentary.
Neat.
In fact, I think that was interview number 2. Darren Sylvester, who's a teacher over at the park, the school, and did a great job for us there. So we had a crew on average of about 4 people. It wasn't a huge crew, 4, sometimes 5 of us.
Yeah.
This is at the Penn Theater, so our first interview, That was in, I think, April of 2017 with Ellen Elliott. And so she's a subject in the film as well, because, of course, we talk about the theater itself, we talk about the Daisy industry, etc.
Oh,
now, this is a World War II, I'm sorry to interrupt there, World War II veteran. And that one was conducted, I think, just about the middle of last year. I think it was June of last year. So this is typical, set. We were in the apartment room of this gentleman, and yeah, it went really, really well. Every single one of the interviews have gone really well, and it has truly changed us as individuals when we've been around them. And this was over. We did an honor flight last June, so we were provided with the opportunity to join an honor flight out to Washington, D.C. And we figured, you know what, we've got to make this a part of the film. So we conducted a couple interviews, but filmed primarily some B-roll.
Oh, I love seeing that, and I love that you're capturing again these heroes. While we still have their voice, and that they can be preserved for all time. And I think that that's so important.
Yes.
Mark, you talked about what does the future hold for you?
Well, I think the future is probably going to, continue pushing me down that path of features. But in the meantime, I'm loving every minute of producing these branding and marketing videos for our clients. We also have an extension of that in another company called Rocket Digital Marketing, because we found that all of our clients were looking for ways to, get their things out there, their videos. So we're now producing and advertising these campaigns for them all over social media.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Tell us where we can find you, Mark.
Well, you can reach us, on our website if you'd like to learn more about us at highwaymediapro.com, or feel free to give us a call at 734-585-9000. If you have a project idea in mind, we'd be happy to chat with you.
Well, it's been a delight meeting you. Thank you so much for sharing a bit about Highway Media with us, and we are proud to showcase you as all the great things that are happening in Michigan.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Well, unfortunately, the time went by too fast. Thank you for joining us and hearing a bit about Mark Salloum and talking about Highway Media and their special place in our community. We love that you watch Celebrate Michigan, where we celebrate all the great things happening in the Mitten State. See you next time.
Yeah, great.